A defensive team can be severely undervalued by fans and coaches alike, but when they play well, they can make or break an NFL team's chances on their road to the Super Bowl. In history, defenses like the 1985 Chicago Bears and the 2000 Baltimore Ravens prove time and again that defense is king. That is why we are breaking down the top 10 defenses in the NFL of 2021. Number 10, Indianapolis Colts. According to Football Analyst, the Colts defense took a step forward last season, finishing 8th in yards allowed, 11th in points allowed, and 7th in defensive efficiency. DeForest Buckner led their charge with interior pressure, followed closely by the quick playmaking of Darius Leonard and Bobby Okereke, and a strong back end with talent on the outside by Kenny Moore, Rock Ya-Sin, Xavier Rhodes, as well as up top by Julian Blackmon. They should remain a top 10 group this year, but there are some more question marks on the edge than there were a year ago. Neither of the team's top 2 edge rushers and snaps from last season, Justin Houston and Danico Autry, are on the roster, and Indy will be counting on Al-Quadin Muhammad, Tyquan Lewis, Kamoko Toure, and rookies Kwity Paye and Dayo Odengbo to pick up the slack. There is no telling how this player combination will turn out, but there is no doubt that the Colts have the strategy to create some major defensive plays. Number 9, New Orleans Saints. This year, many are predicting that the Saints defense are going to be taking a step backward. While they were one of the 4 units to finish in the top 5 in yards, points, and second in defense adjusted value over average last season, they did it on a slippery slope. A lot of their top talent has left, such as Trey Hendrickson, one of the team's most productive pass rushers, who signed with the Bengals in the offseason. Defensive tackle Sheldon Rankins and cornerback Janoris Jenkins are also no longer in town. Players like Cameron Jordan, Malcolm Jenkins, and Demario Davis, while still very good, are entering their mid-30s. One thing that will negatively affect their performance is also something that is not really under their control: the departure of Drew Brees. The Saints have rarely turned the ball over in recent seasons, and they've also scored quite often. That led to New Orleans' defense being afforded favorable field position, with their opponents ranking 24th, 28th, 30th, and 30th in average starting field position over the last 4 years. Especially in the event that Jameis Winston ends up the starter under center, that's likely to change. Number 8, Los Angeles Rams. The Rams were another one of the aforementioned 4 teams that finished top 5 in yards, points, and defense adjusted value over average. They also finished first in weighted DVOA, indicating they played better as the season went on. But defensive coordinator Brandon Staley left and is now the head coach of the Chargers, while John Johnson III and Troy Hill each signed with the Browns in free agency. Michael Brockers was traded to the Lions, and Morgan Fox signed with the Panthers. That is a significant talent drain, and the Rams should take a step backward because of it. It's likely they may not even make a top 10 list after this next season. While the team in general is pretty strong, losing that much talent is certainly going to hit the Chargers hard. Number 7, Denver Broncos. This would be a pretty huge jump for the Broncos, but here are thoughts on this. First of all, Von Miller will be back, and he'll free up space for Bradley Chubb. Those two haven't been on the field together for an extended stretch since 2018. Second of all, the Broncos added Kyle Fuller and Patrick Surtain II at cornerback, solidifying one of the NFL's deepest and most versatile secondaries. And they have Vic Fangio, one of the league's best defensive minds, calling the shots. The talent is all there to make this a top unit again. They may even come in higher than some of the next teams that we have on this list. Number 6, Miami Dolphins. By the end of the 2019-2020 season, Miami ranked 11th in defense adjusted value over average and 9th in weighted DVOA. With Brian Flores at the controls, Jones and Howard locking things down on the outside, Justin Coleman coming over to play the slot, and Jalen Phillips and Javon Holland added to the mix, the Dolphins defense should be firmly a top 10 unit this time around. They might not be a spectacular defense or one that's entertaining, but they are consistent. This defense has regularly saved the Miami Dolphins. Number 5, Pittsburgh Steelers. Losing Bud Dupree hurts, but Alex Highsmith did a solid job filling in last season, and the Steelers picked up Quincy Roche in the 6th round, and he should help as well. He was underrated in the pre-draft process due to his being the 3rd best University of Miami edge guy in his class. Pittsburgh is also still just loaded with talent at all three levels, with TJ Watt, Cameron Hayward, Stephon Tuitt, Tyson Alualu, Devin Bush, Vince Williams, Joe Hayden, Minkah Fitzpatrick, Terrell Edmonds, Cameron Sutton, and Justin Lane all returning from last year's team. The only real concern here is second unit depth, which has been sapped by the team's cap constraints over these past few years. Number 4, Baltimore Ravens. Yes, they let Matt Judon walk in free agency, which was obviously a huge mistake. No, they still have not really replaced a top-end talent of Earl Thomas at safety after releasing him last offseason, but this was a top 10 unit last year, 7th in yards, 2nd in points, 9th in DVOA. Don Martindale is one of the best defensive coordinators in the league, and the Ravens are still absolutely stacked everywhere. Calais Campbell, Derek Wolfe, and Brandon Williams up front, Patrick Queen and Malik Harrison up the middle, Marcus Peters, Marlon Humphrey, Jimmy Smith, and Tavon Young at corner, Deshaun Elliott and Chuck Clark at safety. Oh, and they added Odafe Owe and Dalen Hayes in the draft to supplement Pernell McPhee and Tyus Bowser on the edge. They drafted Shaun Wade, one of the nation's best slot corners in 2019, before he got torched as an outside corner in 2020 in the 5th round and landed diminutive ballhawk Adarius Washington as an undrafted free agent. So once again, this should be a high floor, high ceiling unit. There's no doubt they deserve a spot in the top 5 on our list. Number 3, Cleveland Browns. As high hopes many fans have for the Ravens, they are even higher for the Browns. They should be the most improved defense in the league. John Johnson III might have had the best free agent signing of the offseason, a perfect match of skill set and team need. He'll diversify the team's coverages with his ability to play center field and rotate into 2 high looks, and to make plays on the ball. Cleveland also added both Troy Hill in free agency and Greg Newsome II in the draft to Denzel Ward and Greedy Williams at corner. Plus, they have Grant Delpit coming back from injury and Ronnie Harrison for a full season. They signed Jadeveon Clowney and Takaris McKinley to supplement Myles Garrett on the edge and brought in Malik Jackson and Tommy Togiai to work with Jordan Elliott and Andrew Billings up the middle. Throw in linebacker Anthony Walker and jack of all trades Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, and this might be the most versatile group in the NFL. Number 2, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The one thing that is keeping me from anointing the Browns with the number 1 spot is the prove it factor. The Bucs have that in spades. They return all 22 starters from last season's defense that ranked 6th in yards, 8th in points, and 5th in DVOA. They brought in Joe Tryon and Jason Pierre-Paul and Shaq Barrett and KJ Britt to develop behind Levante David and Devin White. They can provide much of a different look with Vita Vea, Ndamukong Suh, Steve McClendon, and William Golston on the defensive interior. They've still got Todd Bowles. The only issue here is age, with JPP, Suh, and David all in or near their mid-30s, but that shouldn't be a major drawback for the most part. Number 1, Washington football team. Did you know that Washington finished 2nd in yards, 4th in points, and 3rd in DVOA last season? Did you know that Chase Young, Montez Sweat, Dayron Payne, Jonathan Allen, and Matt Ioannidis are all back, and that Ioannidis is the oldest of the bunch at just 27 years old? They added rangy linebacker Jamin Davis in the draft and underrated cornerback William Jackson III in free agency. Ron Rivera had these guys absolutely flying all over the field last season, and they're even more talented this year than a year ago. But what do you think? We want to know which defense you would have at the top of the list. And as always, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any new content. This has been our breakdown of the top 10 defenses in the NFL at 2021.